So a side hustle gig app that I've tried, but admittedly, I think a lot of people think it's kind of gross and nasty. But once you really get down to it, is it? And is it a good side hustle? In this video, I have fellow side hustler Jason, and we're going to talk about two laundry washing side hustles, Poplin and Hampr. And I want you to stay for this entire video because Jason's done a good amount of washing loads. I want to get down to it. As someone who's just starting with Poplin and these laundry washing side hustles, is it actually worth it? You're going to want to see this entire video today with Jason. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you, Mike.
So you're doing this Hampr and Poplin thing. Folks, both of them are laundry washing side hustles. I guess I'll let you describe it because you've been doing, tell us, how many orders have you done? What marketplace are you in? And why laundry washing like gig apps?
Sure, of course. I'm in the Washington, D.C. metro area in Northern Virginia specifically, and I've been doing Hampr Poplin for about 8 to 9 months at this point. So, I use both. I primarily get Poplin orders as far as like the popularity in our market. I feel that Hampr also, honestly, as a washer, we call them professional washers, Hampr's pay seems a little bit lower, but then again, you get more consistent regular customers. As far as why, I've been in the gig economy since 2018 when I was laid off at one point, and essentially in between that, even when I had a full-time job, I kind of used this income to supplement my regular income basically. I'm very much of the philosophy of work as hard as you can to live the life you want, and not necessarily at one person. I've never had one job essentially, so that's kind of the beauty of that. The DC area, as most of you probably already know, is one of the highest income areas in the country. I think that's part of the beauty as well of people have that. They also lead very busy lives. There's research out here that we work some of the longest hours in the country. Those who work for the federal government as well as private sector companies here. So it's one of those tasks I think people don't like a lot. Like grocery shopping is another example. So I think there's a lot of beauty to be able to hand it off to someone else you trust. There's systems in place with these apps that they're very quality based. I think even more than Uber, DoorDash, or other things. It's very quality based. People really look at your laundry very specifically. As a real example, I had one person who actually literally smelled her laundry, and she says that she smells her laundry to figure out what detergent it is, which is kind of crazy. At one point, very early on, I didn't follow necessarily the instructions very well, and I used Gain, which is one of the least liked detergents for the kind of funky smell it has. And so that smell was not very, I guess you could say, palatable. I don't know if that's the right word to that person. So she kind of just like, she didn't complain per se, but she was like, because I think they can see when we started on the app, so they can get an idea of how long I've been doing it. So
love that. I was thinking, I appreciate you sharing that story about the customer. She's a detergent detective. That's what we're going to call it. She's like, smells it. That's Gain. I'm just thinking in my head, like, but I get it though, because folks, it sounds funny, but like Jason said, he cited quality. Think grocery shopping. Okay, yeah, I want them to pick good produce. But on laundry washing, if you didn't know, folks, they can request you. They can say you're the preferred washer, a Hampr washer or Poplin Laundry Pro. So This is a side hustle that you can have repeat clientele. And Jason's in a great demographic, DC. Let us know down below in the comments what city you're in. But they have the discretionary income for it. It's convenient to them. They can request you as a favorite. So Jason, first question off the bat, I want to answer, is it that nasty? Tell me about like how gross it is. Maybe it's not. And then maybe any PPE or personal protective equipment, glove, masks, what do you find in practice?
Sure, of course. So at this point, I have not had any gross orders, in my opinion. What I do typically is I sort the laundry actually on my patio now that it's warmer out to, kind of predetermine if there's anything, that's not going to be palatable, or that's not the wrong word. It's not, kind of gross, right? So that's one factor. The second factor is where I have a folding table where I fold. It's I call it the laundry zone. It's like directly in the living room, directly across from the washer or dryer. So right to the next of that folding table, even before I started these apps, I have an air cleaner, air purifier, which helps obviously. Besides that, there's a lot of strict rules around this. I'm pretty sure you can see on the apps, you can't have clothing with oil in it. You can't have, I think, certain kinds of like work uniforms are not allowed. I don't remember what else off the top of my head, but there's certain things that are not allowed, right? That's one other factor. And kind of a sidebar here, but there actually is in my market, there is actually a Facebook group where it's all washers, professional washers. It's an informal group. They're all talking about each other's customers. As you may imagine, like a Yelp or like a Glassdoor, most of these people are typically talking about the bad side of the customers, honestly. So we have discussion, there's like a discussion board, if you will. And even before you pick up an order, because in my market, there's not, from my perception, in Virginia at least, that currently there's not a lot of people doing washing, it seems like. So I kind of analyze or like research the customer and think, okay, will I be able to handle that? If they say they're a low tipper, can I take that risk, so to speak? Is it an area I'm already going for other gigs, right? I'm a germaphobe, but I have not used any PPE to this point. I have them available if I needed them, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. I think I just gotten lucky. And I just think about it as any kind of thing you do. Like I did a lot of gig work in COVID. That was a risk. I'm not going to go into specifics, but like I took risks like that and doing it during COVID, both from the practical perspective of not a lot of people on the road. What happens to your car, which my previous car was worn down, honestly, from the gig economy apps and whatnot work I did. But that's something that you have to take a chance with. Like you get a lot of exposure when you're being a Uber driver all day as well, right? So just being proactive and sanitizing your car regularly, washing your car, getting your car washed inside and outside regularly. These things are important. So that's kind of the equivalent of what I'm saying. So last thing I'll say on this topic is that I actually buy. We have the grocery store now in the country, kind of expanding across the country. Lidl, they sell washing machine cleaner. Now I don't know, I haven't really done research into that, but I tend to use it about once every 2 weeks or so, just wash it out. Same thing in the dryer. I more do like dry, with a cloth. I'll just wipe out the inside between every load, more than when I do my personal laundry. I'm emptying that lint filter. That's one of the most overlooked things, I think, for laundry, both and a fire hazard as well. So these are certain tips I have in general about that. And really being thoughtful about certain things. So this is not necessarily encouraged, but you can even message your customer if they have a lot of button shirts. Hey, do you want me to iron your shirts for you? Going above and beyond if you have the time. I'm not saying you should. There's obviously risks there in case you burn it and things like that. But just offer these things add-ons. And I think that the smartest folks, if you, for example, in your market, Poplin and Hampr aren't that strong yet, and you don't feel like investing the time into doing the referral thing, right? Where you refer customers to the app. What if you are doing a lot of orders in Hampr and Poplin, or you do it over time, over a longer period of time, and it gets to the point where you're really good, you're getting good ratings, you can expand a TaskRabbit or Upshift and start your own side hustle there as well and do your own thing. Just like there was an app similar to that where they were setting up, like at one point there was like a grocery shopping app that was not one of the main ones now, where you could set up your own business essentially. So that's just an idea I have.
First offer I did on Poplin, we have a playlist if you want to watch that, folks. I didn't have any PPE. And like Jason said, he's like, well, I haven't had really any nasty offers. My second offer, go watch that playlist after this. I'll just say, folks, no spoilers, it wasn't as pristine, we'll say that. So it's up to you if you want to use PPE. So secondly, talking about maybe going above and beyond. Jason mentioned maybe ironing. So folks, you don't have to do that. As he mentioned, you don't have to iron stuff. And even one of the platforms does not have hang dry. Jason, do you remember which one has hang dry on hangers, one doesn't?
I can't remember, and honestly, I haven't gotten an order asking for that yet.
Gotcha.
We also have another app in this market called Rinse. It's basically just like Hampr and Poplin, but there's a facility. So all you're doing as a person is you're essentially couriering it, so to speak, driving into the facility. They do the work there, you drive it back. So it's like a traditional laundromat, but there's independent contractors doing the driving, which I didn't opt for because that particular facility is across in Maryland, so I have to cross through DC, and it's too far. Okay. It's not worth that dollar to mile ratio you always talk about, of course.
Sure. And I like the idea that you mentioned of cleaning your pretty important asset, which is your washer and dryer. Now, yes, you can take it to a laundromat, folks, but that's going to take away from your bottom line. Yes, it's a business expense. So think about that if you want to like subcontract it out with a laundromat. But if you're doing it from home, that's a great idea. because, I'm here in an apartment, and I bet, listen, folks, I don't think that thing's been, washed or sanitized, the inside at least. So I like that idea of treatment of the washer and dryer, maybe even just here and there. So talk to me about pay, because obviously, even if best case scenario, it's not gross, it's easy enough to do. So you go to the person's pickup, folks, you get a bag or a hamper or whatever, take it back, wash it, dry it, fold it, and then you deliver it. So why Hampr and Poplin? Talk to me specifically about why you keep doing it. And I'd love to lean into the pay, because I'd assume, and the pay's got to be pretty good. And then if you've done other gig apps, talk to me about maybe pay versus like other options.
Of course. So because, like I said in the beginning of this call, I believe, or separate to you, Mike, I do a lot of variety of gigs. I do everything from merchandising for different types of things. I can't say what it is because of certain restrictions, but merchandising, price auditing at stores where you like essentially are inputting price data for market research. I do Uber, Lyft, all these other apps. I focus on a few things. I focus on where am I going to pick up a laundry order from? And is that area typically around there busy for passenger rides at that time of the day, or busy for grocery, busy for restaurant? Now, fortunately, in this market, I will be honest with you, it's busy 24/7, because in the evening you get like a lot of flights going on to the airport near us. I live not far from the largest airport in the Northern Virginia area, which is a lot of international flights, something like 50 flights a day, to different countries. So, sorry, 50 countries a day, my bad. So basically, I think about where else it's going to be busy.
The power strips, yeah.
Power strips, yes. So I think about where it's super busy, right? In our area, there's a lot of metro, like the metro train system. Near there is really popular for like rides during major events, which Uber already puts in the apps. Uber already mentions that in the app here. But essentially, think about where it's busy, dollar-to-mile ratio, like you said. I will wait for things to be bonus. So for example, if there's an offer earlier today in a place called South Riding, which is about 15 miles from here, kind of not quite an exurb, but almost like an exurb, newer developed, mostly single family homes. I was waiting even before this call, even before this conversation, I was waiting and saying, is this going to get bonused? Eventually got taken off. It was like 12.9 miles from here, 30 something, $35 or so. And I thought to myself, it was 3 bags also. So 3 regular bags for me personally takes, give or take, an hour, 20 minutes to fold at my comfortable pace. So I was thinking about, I make on average $21 to $22 pre-tax and expenses on DoorDash and Uber per hour. I use that as a kind of a scale in my head, like do math in my head essentially. So that's a factor to me. Then, most practically speaking, I think about the driving, honestly, because you could easily, in this area, this metro area is so large, I could theoretically drive to DC, pick up an order and come back, but I'm gonna get a lot of traffic out of the way. Putting those miles in the car, is it really worth it? So these 2 apps I joined because they're making my life easier by offsetting and decreasing the Uber, DoorDash, those hours. Some of those things, you're lifting heavy water bottles, etc. The laundry, yes, it's heavy to lift up and down the stairs in the apartment where I stay, but typically it's not too bad. And sometimes I have help as well.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm really interested in this laundry washing space because exactly like you said, not a lot of people even know about it, let alone they want to do it, maybe because of preconceptions of, oh, I think it's going to be all nasty. You mentioned prior, they do have a list. Both companies, it can't have oil, it can't have hazardous materials, it can't have like crazy nasty stuff on it. If we're real kids, whatnot, we're not going to go there. But it's not going to be, you're not going to open that bag and it's going to be insane. Actually, if it is, you refuse it. Paint, stuff like that. So if I'm interested in one of these, assuming that like a relatively equal demand level, like both are pretty good, which one do you lean towards? Which one do you think is better? Or are they pretty even? What do you say?
I'd be leaning towards Poplin. Well, actually, there's good and bad to both. So Poplin, one thing I've noticed in Poplin, which I don't like, honestly, is that I have so many customers requesting different types of detergent. They need, in my opinion, there should be a standard. Poplin has a list, but sometimes the customers will request certain kinds of laundry detergent or bleach outside of that, which that expense adds up. That being said, of course, once you have a certain number of detergent, folks are probably not going to ask for some obscure company, right? With Hampr, it's much more easygoing, I think. They're not as strict. You have that, technically speaking, with Hampr, you have a little more flexibility. I'm being late. I've been late before, unfortunately. I'm honestly balancing other gig apps, and I didn't get in trouble per se with Poplin. Without going into specifics, there was a situation where essentially, if you're doing Poplin, let's say, and you forget to return someone some laundry a little bit by chance, they may get pretty serious. I mean, I'll just kind of allude to it. It was a situation where they were like threatening to contact authorities because that wasn't returning their laundry. But also at the same time, I was like, I mean, we have life outside of this. We're not just full-time laundromat workers either. So that customer, I mean, this probably is oversharing, but I keep track of my not so great customers, let's put it that way, for every app I work, and I kind of don't pick up their orders if I can again, honestly. Which you can also do, customers can do that on the other side, by the way, for most of these apps. They can contact customer support and get unmatched. It's most common, I think, at the rideshare platform, but other platforms as well, you can get unmatched pretty easily. So one quick note I'm gonna mention is that I found, at least in my area, the most common customers are new moms, naturally, because they have a lot going on. They can't do all their baby clothes, right? I actually have a few customers who are either elderly or, I don't know if this is the politically correct term, but disabled, essentially. They can't do laundry as easily. If you think about it, laundry can be very physically labor intensive. The third interesting one, I had one time a customer who said, I stay up all night and sleep during the day, and I'm in an apartment with the, I guess, in-unit washer dryer. I don't want to bother my neighbors by doing laundry, so that's why I'm using Poplin. Very interesting. I also had one gentleman also who was going into the science behind laundry detergent and stuff like that in the chat one time. I kind of just, you have to nod and agree, because Poplin has that weird thing I'm sure you mentioned before in your videos, where they rate us or grade us based on how much we respond to the chats, and every message needs to have a response, which is kind of an interesting thing. I don't know the logic behind it, but it's what the founder has, told us in many videos before. So on the platform.
Yep, they want you to have, this is on Poplin, literally the last word on every single conversation, and you have to also respond as quick as possible. Folks, I've worked, and thank you again for sharing that, Jason. I've worked customer service, 6 years in a call center, answering 100 plus inbound calls. Like, there's customer service, and then there's like, yeah, I get the intention behind it. Okay, so we're leaning more towards Poplin. Hampr might be a little bit more easygoing. I understand the thought process behind taking notes of customers. So what if I'm concerned about upfront costs? What if I'm concerned about, it's going to be gross? What other concerns might they have? What would you tell someone that's thinking about it?
Of course. So I would say, we've already mentioned a lot of tips, a few things that I recommend. First of all, this is kind of more personal related, but basically as an example, how can I offset the water use as an example? Great example. You're a member at a gym, they have a free shower. Go shower there instead. You're going to save that water, if possible, whether you're working out or not, depending on how often you take a shower, whichever one has a different choice. I rarely shower in my apartment. I just shower at the gym. It's saving my water and that expense. It's offsetting that cost, and then I can do this app. Now, granted, let me be honest with you. I'm not the top Poplin person out there or Hampr person out there yet, mainly because I don't want to drive very far. I think a lot of the top people who earn that 6,000 that's per month that they advertise on the platform's website, those are probably people who are driving really far, going a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of driving unless I'm doing like Uber or something, like I'm already kind of objective, right? Essentially, I'm already doing a lot there. So that's one aspect to definitely offset your expense like that. With electricity, there's obviously very common examples. Talk to your power utility company. There's ways you can like reduce your usage during certain hours of the day. I've heard, I don't know how true this is anymore, but I've heard a lot of people say, do your laundry washing and dishwashing at night, save money. I don't know if that's valid or not. There's a reason, I think, based on usage throughout the day. I also have a marketing business. So last year and this year, I've taken the home office deduction, where I say I've done a lot of my work at home. I take that deduction essentially through my LLC. So if you want to I don't know the exact advice on this. I'm not a tax expert, but you maybe you'll be able to form an LLC and put this under that. I don't know if that's actually allowed, but that's just something I had to share. The other thing, like I said, if you're someone, a lot of people nowadays have different kinds of conditions. I think that gig apps like ride sharing or laundry provide some variety in your day. You can listen to music or podcasts. In fact, when I'm washing and drying my clothes, typically I'm either doing some meal prep because I'm the cook here and in our household, or I'm doing my marketing work. I work with influencers and help them get partnerships with brands. I'm doing that stuff while the washing and drying is taking place. Technically speaking, your actual time working is just folding, and you could probably get someone to help. Your actual time working, a lot of it is just sedentary. Like you can just have the washer dry going, do something else productive, or if you want to chill, if you want to put a timer on your phone and fall asleep, you can do that, right? One of the top things then that newbies will probably also perhaps mess up on is definitely make sure to take your washer and dryer, your stuff out of the washer dryer ASAP. As a real example, let's suppose it's really late at night, which is often when I'm like not doing gig apps, right? So if I'm doing laundry, I'll just take the dryer stuff, put it on my dining table or that laundry zone, and just let it sit there. It's better to have it sit there dry and warm initially than have it all bunched up in the dryer and getting wrinkled, because wrinkles are a common complaint I've seen initially when I didn't realize that advice, essentially.
Well, that's a great way to end it. A lot of powerful tips there, folks. Drop a like if you appreciate Jason joining. This is a part, again, of our driver contributor team program and just sharing the tips today. I mean, the takeaways from managing expenses to helping customers and getting regular customers that maybe, like you mentioned, aren't physically able, or convenience purposes. You mentioned the individual that didn't want to disrupt other tenants, what have you, for whatever reason, people that have discretionary income. And about the costs, like there's costs in a lot of different gig apps. It's like, well, hey, I need to remind you, you're spending money on the gas, the wear and tear on your vehicle. You may not see it, but you're kind of spending money every time you go drive. That transmission is slowly wearing down. Your brake pads are slowly wearing down. You just can't see the cents per mile. That's literally what the standard IRS deduction is. It's a accumulation of the cost per mile to run that vehicle for business. But Jason, I appreciate you joining here today, providing your insights on Poplin and Hampr for our audience today.
Of course.
And folks, I mean, let me know what you think about this laundry washing side hustle. It's not all nasty. There's pros and cons. Does it get a little dirty? Absolutely. But there might be an opportunity because not everyone is looking at this. The money might be there. You can do it from home while you're doing other stuff to double down on your productivity. There's costs, pros and cons, right? So let me know down below in the comments what you think about this laundry washing gig space.